What is going on, y'all? James from Shinmaker Enterprises back here with another video, and today we are looking at the Columbia 300 Top Speed. This is one of the new balls from the Brands of Brunswick that has the HK22 cover stock base on it. This is kind of an interesting concept because HK22 as a whole kind of reminds me of a slightly more stable art version of, or the same general idea as what Storm has with their REX cover stock formula. Fairly strong, fairly responsive, but a good blend of both to not go too insane in any one area. And that is an awesome combination of traits that a lot of people can use in a lot of situations. Now, where it gets a little different on the Brunswick side is they've got this HK22 base, and you can see here, like, the top speed cover is HK22 Formula One Pearl. So the Formula One cover stock is what they had on the original speed, which, as I'm thinking about it, I actually really like that ball too, so I probably need to make a video on that at some point. But the top speed has the Formula One additive package plus the HK22 base. So I actually own 3 different HK22 balls. I have the Brutal Collision, which is HK22 solid, and I forget what the name of the additive packages are on the others, but I have a Brutal Collision, this top speed, and then also my 3D offset attack. And even though they're all HK22, they feel like cousins, not brother, sister, siblings is the best way I can think to describe it. They all have kind of their own nuances and their own unique traits. And I've done a couple other HK22 balls that friends have. It kind of mirrors that same general trend. It's like you can feel similarities, but they don't feel exactly the same. The core here is the shifter asymmetrical core, which is the same core as the original speed. Low RG, high diff, pretty high end diff asymmetrical core. Means it rolls pretty well without going too insane. So even on this, I actually drilled the mass out just on the right edge of my thumb, and the pin is a 4.5 inch pin above my bridge, so decently strong, but not insane on the pin in a very strong mass bias position. And even with that, it doesn't really ever lock up or roll out, or if it does, then that just means it's flat out not the right ball to be throwing. So speaking of that, let's go on ahead and get into some video here. This is me testing on Kegel Chromium at Royal Crest Lanes. For the portion of this shooting for the top speed, I had already beaten up this lane a decent amount, shooting for stuff like the Brutal Collision, Phase 2, Crux Prime, and a couple other balls before I got to the top speed. So where that is good is this is actually, it makes it a slightly more relevant test, because this is a situation where I would actually be wanting to use the top speed. Is lanes are transitioned a little bit, and I need something to kind of get through the fronts a little better, but still roll and drive through the pins pretty well. Where I really like the top speed is that when I get in these situations, and you've seen on these last couple shots especially, that it's got this really nice defined like pivot and gets and start tumbling towards the pocket type of kind of shot shape that it makes, and is really intuitive to manage. It's a very easy to read shape, but it does that same basic thing on a lot of different conditions for me. You can see here, even getting pretty far left is still making that same pivot and drive through the pins. And it's done this in a variety of patterns, variety of centers, and just is honestly a whole lot of fun to throw. Jumping over here, and let's look at another couple other balls that kind of are around it. This is my 4.5 inch pin down Phase 2, a little bit earlier in the same filming session, so the lane is a little bit fresher. The Phase 2 is kind of my strong benchmarky type ball. It's really early, really round, really predictable, really controllable. This is awesome for pocket control, or in this case, just striking a ton, because the Phase 2 looks really good on this pattern at Royal Crest. But there are also certainly going to be a lot of situations where the Phase 2 is close on strength, but just not really digging out the corners all that much. And so when I get in that situation, I just need that, or down lane gets a little tighter, I'm following a little bit of a tighter pair, and I need that little bit of extra kick, then that's when I would just grab the top speed and go off and ride into the sunset, because it just makes that type of situation very, very intuitive. Looking at one other option, this is my Obsession Tour a little bit later in that same filming session after I shot for the top speed. And you can see here that the Obsession Tour is actually a ball that I throw quite a bit at Royal Crest. But in this particular situation, I actually had a little bit of a hard time getting it dialed in right. Hitting pockets some, got a lucky strike there. I think this shot, 2-pin. Yeah, that's a 2-pin right there. I think a 4-7-10 the next shot. Just kind of trying to get it dialed in and find a way to strike. So it kind of, a little bit. It's still earlier and smoother than my top speed, but in a different way because of that lower diff core. But essentially, a good arsenal needs to include different balls that are good at striking in different situations and that work well together. Like you should never have an arsenal where all of your balls strike at the same time, but you just want to have an arsenal where you can have something that'll be able to get you close in those situations. And if you have that, then you can then work from there on kind of learning to refine things and learn how to strike what you have. And honestly, the sort of person who can walk in with like 3 or 4 balls and figure out how to strike with that of almost anything, that is the bowler you need to actually be scared about on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of a little bit of a side lesson in here while I'm talking about the top speed. It is a really, really fun ball. Street prices don't care. I'm stashing more of this. I can't stop throwing it. It works in pretty much any pattern I've thrown it on. It's like 38 feet or longer. It has looked awesome. And I'm actually going to practice the day after filming this on a PBA pattern I think is 44 feet, and I'm expecting to throw this a lot on that because it's going to look great. So I hope this has been an enjoyable and somewhat helpful and educational video for you. The top speed is available right now. I can't say enough good things about it. I absolutely love with this ball. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Got other content coming up as well. Heading to the Open Championships in a couple weeks, and I think this is going to make the bag for that. So I'm very excited to take it there and see how it does on a pretty big stage, comparatively speaking. And until then, I will see y'all out on the lanes. Good luck, good bowling. Peace.